You see a long white cane, if it has red stripes on it, that person is also hearing impaired. So then you have to speak out.
That's good to know.
Yeah, that's something that's interesting too. Do you know, maybe you don't know about the different canes?
No,
like I had
you
a cane.
want the red at the base of the cane.
I'm not cane trained, I don't need one, but I do have a cane, which is, you have them there. They're what's called, some people call them an ID cane, or some people call them a symbol cane. You don't need a cane to get around, but it's to let people know that you have a sight issue. It's just for our sake to make things easier.
I generally pull mine out in a crowd. Like, I won't actually unfold it unless there's a crowd. So that'll be probably like if you're at events and you wanted to know, I don't think there's a Sinead's charity events day. Like, that's what I do. I typically, if I was going somewhere, I'd come in with that, like either in my back pocket or sticking out of the handbag so it's easy to catch. I might have it like this and I'll click it to make a sound for myself. And then usually when I need help, I'll actually just drop it out and then kind of stand there and be like, hey, excuse me.
Do people tend to go to your assistants then or to offer assistance?
Once you kind of start walking around and say excuse me to one or two randomers, you know, usually a member of staff wherever you are will kind of, it's usually somebody in a high vis on security will come over and be like, what are you looking for, you know? And you tell them and they'll show you the way.
I suppose just to expand on the difference between the long cane, it's obviously longer, but it's like you'll notice it's the one that people will either be like sweeping back and forth in front of them or tapping on the ground. And like there's the reason you earlier would have said cane trained, there's a very specific technique, and if you're not, in my opinion, if you're not trained early enough, it can be a big struggle. I would probably benefit from using a long cane, but I can't get the technique right in my head. You have to sweep in time as you're walking, and it has to be in like a very specific pattern, and you just need that muscle memory. So I would be the same as Maeve. I would carry an ID cane, and just I tend to carry it all the time now, unfolded, but when I was younger and a bit more resistant to taking it, I would again carry it in my back pocket, and I know for a fact that especially during the pandemic, I would walk along the river here in Limerick with it in my back pocket, and I would always have carried it when I was coming up to like roads and stuff if I needed to cross. But I know for a fact some people would definitely be given some strange looks if I was just walking on happy out on the river and then got to a road and then we've got a cane unfolded.
You hear some weird gasps.
And William, Teresa was saying earlier about the gentleman came into the museum with 2 canes.
That I don't know. See, that would be.
Teresa, 2 canes.
He did 2 canes, yeah.
Was it a hiker now? Was
No, I don't think it was. I remember I was saying it to you, Maria. Yeah.
So he may have been using one for support because you can get, like, as in like a crutch or a walking stick, you can get one that is the same kind of high vis as a cane. Sorry, it's a cane.
As a walking cane.
You can get like a walking stick that is the same colour scheme as a long cane to kind of, if you need that kind of support, it'll still identify you as. There are a couple of different, like there's the long cane, there's the ID cane, but I only learned about a week ago there's another one called a guide cane, which is kind of an intermediate between the long one and the ID cane. So yeah, there's a lot of different types. There could be a dozen reasons why he would have had 2. But
It could have been as well, because I know some people do use both the symbol cane and the long cane, and they might use the long cane, like we'll say, like, to get from the bus station to here, but then they might need it indoors, or depending on the lighting of the environment, they may fold up the long cane because it's quite long, and as Will was saying, there's a very specific technique that you have to be paying quite a lot of attention for.
Yeah. Is there another cane, and maybe I completely have this wrong, that has like a round end on it, like a ping pong ball or something almost? Is that?
Yeah, there's a couple of different tips you can get. Now, I wouldn't, as I'm not a long cane user myself, I wouldn't have all the detail, but the ball I think is generally for even surfaces. There's a long one that you can get that kind of looks a bit like made of plastic, like but like brass knuckles for all the world when I felt them. And then there's like a disc one. It's like a flat kind of hockey puck. So depending on like the the surface you'd be traveling over, you could use.
When I did my training first, I was living on at home, like a very rural area, so you get the tip at the end is a bigger ball at the end of it because you're going over like rough terrain. But when you get into like built up areas, you don't need bigger. The smaller tip is better because you're getting more feedback from it. You could get like the tactile paving in front of like traffic lights and all that. You get more distinction from that with a smaller tip, whereas the larger one then is just so that it doesn't constantly get caught in potholes and stuff. So there are loads of different tips that you can get. And there's like I suppose Vision Ireland would have I can't remember off the top of my head the brand they use. But say Vision Ireland could use a very specific brand and give that to everybody. But there are dozens of different types of cane, there's different handles, different tips, different thicknesses. Like there's specific ones for people who are hiking. It's like called an all-terrain cane, and it's just a big, strong, like thick one. And like as definitely presented, like folds up and stuff. There are ones that don't fold, because some people, especially if they're going over again that very rough terrain, they don't want it collapsible. They want a strong, like sturdy cane. So yeah, there's a lot, and I suppose it would tie into something that I'll probably come across the day is. There's no universal answer to any of this. There are so many different variations. Like you have 4 people here with experience. We have our own very specific experiences. You get 4 different people in. They'll probably tell you the opposite to what we were saying. Because we can only go off our own experiences and what we've come across.